Okay, go.
All right, welcome everybody to another episode of Full Stream Ahead, where we review all the streaming content that makes us want to podcast. And today we're going to be continuing our review of Poker Face, Season 1, Episode 8, The Orpheus Syndrome. This episode was actually directed by Natasha Lyonne herself. Writers, of course, Rain Johnson and Natasha Lyonne and Alice Hsu. She helped write it as well. And let's get into it. What did you think of this episode?
I think this is actually my favorite episode this season.
Really?
Not to spoil anything. I like when they get like it's a little macabre, you know. It's a little out there, but like I feel like this episode works. It's the most different from out of all the episodes this season. Speaking of something, I've seen the last two as well, so it's just really well done.
I feel like Laura was one of the most formidable villains we've seen on the show so far. All the other villains are sort of like victims of circumstance. Like something happens and they need to get out of it and they're like skating by the skin of their teeth. She has been devious for 40 years, right?
Yeah.
Building this thing, and everything that she does is so unbelievably calculated. And everything that happens, she has her moment, but she takes it and she goes, okay, time to perform. And she gets to the doing of the business, right? And she'll maneuver this way, maneuver that way. But she's really, really quite a capable killer.
I mean, it's Cherry Jones. If you know, you know. Amazing. Yeah. I love her. Like, okay, so like the Horse Whisperer, Erin Brockovich, the Village, the Beaver. If you know, you know. That's probably a little obscure for some people, but yeah. And then also the Eyes of Tammy Faye, I think, is the most recent one from 2021 that she was really good in. So yeah, I was really excited to see her and to be the villain. But like Tim Russ, oh my god! As a Star Trek fan, I was just like, yes.
He was a Ferengi, right?
No.
Not the one with the ears?
Oh, you know what? He has played a Ferengi.
Oh, he played something else in Star Trek.
Yeah. See, that's the thing about Star Trek people. They play a lot of different things.
Huh.
Yeah.
I was just like, also really happy to see Nick Nolte.
Oh my god. I was like, he's still alive. Okay. Good for him.
Yeah, and everybody got some meat to sink their teeth into as an actor.
And it's the film industry, which, you know, I used to dabble in a little bit, so it's just like, yeah, that tracks. I feel like this is a little meta commentary here too, you know, as people do when they are doing episodes or movies about their, like, you know, actual part of their industry. So I was just like, I see you.
So what were some of the things that jumped out that were like, okay, that's true to how the industry moves?
Oh, how they treat the special effects houses, for sure. Especially now with AI, like, I can't wait to like see like an episode about that. I want to see Ryan Johnson's like perspective on that for sure, especially since that's like what they've been striking over for the most part too. So like, but yeah, definitely how they've treated the visual effects people, how they're like definitely not front facing, and you know it's a struggle to get them like, you know, motivated to do stuff because they get an idea, because like any creative, and they just want to chase it. And, you know, it's like wrangling cats, and he was definitely a cat being wrangled.
Yeah, I mean, everybody in her life was. She was like the ringmaster at the circus, and all the cats were dancing to her tune. And boy, act up and find out, you know?
Yeah. And I feel like they both kind of have that same vibe. Like, they were definitely on that same frequency, too. So it was just like... Because she, like, literally just stops and gets drawn into it, you know? At his house, she sees it when she pulls up and quits whatever job she's doing. And she's like, I want to work for you.
So yeah. In that sense. Oh, interesting. Yeah, it's so I didn't. So there was a lot that was different about this episode than other ones. First of all, the way it was started, we didn't really get a clear. Like normally, you get a clear. Oh, here's the murder. Here's how it happened, and here's how Charlie fits into it. But like when it first starts, you're like, what is even happening? He comes stumbling out, and I thought she'd shot him. Max, and then he goes over and you think he knew that he needed to destroy his face to protect his secret?
I think he finally put the last pieces together in the last moment. He tried.
But like, do you think he purposefully wanted to land face first to prevent her? Oh, okay, that's kind of interesting. I wondered if because
you can kind of tell at the bonfire, like the wheels are turning and she like admits to it a little bit, and he's just like, all right, I see what you've been doing now. So
it's so funny. Like the show constantly surprises me by how comfortable people are challenging murderers. Right? Like if you know, like he knew for 40 years that she was a murderer. And then he's gonna be like, "Yeah, I'm gonna tell you I'm going to the police before I go to the police." All right, honey, I hope you're okay with this. I mean, that seemed really, really silly. I felt bad for him throughout that first like little 10 minutes where we didn't know what was happening. And then when I saw that conversation, I was like, all right, man, I don't feel bad for you. You deserve it. What a dumb thing to do. So I was like, all right. I was flabbergasted. I was like, why would you not just agree with her? No, no, honey, you're right. You're right. You're right. That kind of
I
person
call
you
it the
can't
true
be honest
crime
with.
effect. I feel like a lot of people listen to those true crime podcasts, watch a lot of
Mm,
documentaries. It's kind of like also with like that CSI effect when that show first came out and like all the juries wanted like the hardcore evidence. It's just kind of those effects of being desensitized to the actual reality of how things work. I think a lot of
so,
times too
so you
might be a
think there was a
commentary
little
on
bit of
that.
that living that fantasy? I get to be the one that caught you. I'm letting you know, having that like
That
the
cat and
bad
mouse
guy
game,
monologue.
yeah,
Wow.
definitely. I see a lot of that. And because this is based around like the who done it of it all, the Columbos and the murder she wrote. So I
Yeah.
definitely see that trope as well too. But I think that also could be a secret little meta commentary about that as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's so surprising. This is why she's so formidable, because she doesn't do much of that at all. She doesn't need the accolades of the bravado for how she got away with it. That stays in the shadows. She just wants to go about her business and be adored, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's so funny how careful she is, not even when talking to Charlie, but like even in certain situations where
Well,
he
she's
asks
the
her,
suit.
yeah, he goes, did you have anything to do with Max's death? And she goes, I watched him jump right in front of me, which is not a lie, right? And I was like, man, she says she doesn't answer any questions. She just changes direction. She's so good at making you think she answered your question, but she didn't answer your question at all. And now we're somewhere a whole different piece of the conversation.
Yep,
I
a
really,
typical
really,
suit.
yeah, no, but like really good at it. I just enjoyed how good she was at that.
Yeah, it was so this episode was tense, and I love that. Like in a way
Yeah,
that a lot of that look outside of maybe the first episode. Like, I feel like the first episode was super super tense. A lot of high,
yeah.
well, it was a lot of things at stake right there. But yeah, this one brought back that ratcheted up the tension back, and I think that really sets the tone for like the next two episodes. Not to spoil anything. This is
Oh,
really getting the
interesting,
wheels rolling where
interesting.
you're just like, ooh, what's gonna happen next?
Yeah, yeah. So like when she first, so she throws him over and then she gets the bust made, right? And
Mm-hmm.
immediately I'm thinking there's a nefarious purpose for this, and my head went to, oh, there's probably some camera angle
Yep.
that she wants
She
to
got to
catch
open
him.
up that iPhone. And
Oh
it
yeah,
wasn't
he
even
was, look at him,
the iPhone.
see him in the background right there, he was perfectly fine before he jumped off. But it was far more interesting. um but as clever as she was, I'm surprised that she didn't already at some point have tried to get into his computer and realized that she would need his face.
Yeah. That's the thing about IT. They never tell you when they're making the updates. Am I right, corporate?
Mm.
It's always
um,
little things in the background. They're like, yeah, we're like 3 sprints out. We're going to be doing this. And then you forget. And then it's like, oh, you log in. Damn it.
yeah.
Yeah, that's relatable for me anyway.
Also, like, I really thought they were gonna save the old man, because like
Oh.
at like he's laying down, like, and then she's like, I gotta go. I didn't want to see her be the person that walks away, right? She called it in and everything, and then as she's leaving, you see his eye like twitch a little bit. So this is hope. But then you get the conversation next, and it's like, oh, I'm so sad about it. I was like, he really went. He really went and died.
Yeah.
But glad he
Oh,
got to know before he went that it wasn't him.
yeah. Oh, shout out to Louis Guzman, who I love as well. He was in this episode, being his character actor that he is. I just
Yep.
love it.
Yep.
And I was like,
Um,
oh, I think he did this before he filmed Gomez, but I feel like I was feeling Gomez vibes from the
uh,
Wednesday show on Netflix.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. I guess the way he carried his body really tight to himself, sort of like a small movements.
yeah.
Huh. Um. So let's see. Um.
Is
The
this the longest Charlie spent with the person? Because I mean, it's been 3 weeks. So I think that's like the most implied elapse of time that we've had for one of her cases or her gigs.
Interesting. Yeah, I didn't realize how long of a situation this was. You think this was about 5 weeks?
I know, like when we meet her, it's like three. Like when we come in, they kind of imply that it's been 3 weeks that she was with them. You know?
Oh, 3 weeks working with this guy or with these people.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Whereas all the other ones feel like maybe a week at best.
Yeah.
Even
And
the tour part seemed a little short. So
interesting. Maybe that's the reason why she starts developing the twitch, because
yeah,
she's been around the same situation and it's grating on her. That's
yeah, I think that
fascinating.
yeah. See,
Huh.
they don't. I like that they don't give us the answers, not in a
Yeah,
Rick and
yeah.
Morty way, but like in a choose your own adventure kind of way. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's really cool. Um some of my favorite scenes in there were like, well, I think my favorite scene of all was when Nick Nolte watches the actual film and realize what's happened. And you see that
Mm.
moment happen on his face, and you're like, he doesn't know what to do with it himself. He's like, this whole time I wasn't responsible. And then like the rage, but the quiet rage that just happens on his, like, what is he gonna do? And they cut away. I was like, oh my God. But like, I wonder what his mindset was walking in there, because it was another example of, this person's a murderer, right? Now you see this film and you gotta think she had something to do with Max's death. And then you're walking into the lion's den and saying, here, I bet you can't eat me. Look at how delicious I am, right? Like, it was the silliest thing. So like either that, or he meant to be like, hey, you know what? I already gave my life away. I'm just going there to end it. He kind of wanted to die.
Yeah, that's the
But
feeling
then
I
he was
got.
sort of devious on his own, right? Like, did he have a further plan? Like, after I die, 3 albums will release and people will see my genius or something, because he did cut that. But how did she know that wasn't the right film that was in the fire? Was it completely the wrong film? Or did she somehow notice that it was cut out?
I think she might have noticed. I think she's the kind of person that cross all the T's and dot all the I's, so she
Yeah.
knew.
But like, she picks it up and looks at it and she goes, he wouldn't have.
Well,
But as a
that and
wonder,
it was his life's work too. Also, like it was something he was. It's one of those things. Some creatives are very, very sentimental. She's known him for 40 years too, so
and I'm
they made their
surprised.
bones together. So that's definitely a bond. You get to know people really well, especially if it's like a tight little
Yeah.
budget
Yeah.
kind of place. Yeah.
I'm surprised I didn't see it coming that she had poisoned him as well. When he started getting on the car, and I'm like, oh no, she got you too. Did he have a drink? And I was like, man, I wasn't paying attention at all. Like, I bet you
It
she could have
reminds me of
poisoned me real easy.
Justified, where she's like, "Oh, it wasn't in the drink; it was in the glass."
Man, she was pretty evil. I was kind of sad to see her go. The ending was kind of confusing. So what did you think of the ending? What was happening there? Was she having a psychotic episode? Did she accidentally ingest some of her own medicine? Or were Luis Guzman and Charlie playing tricks on her by taking mannequins that he had made and planting them throughout the audience just to mess with her?
I think they were just messing with her.
So you
At
think
that
those are
point,
mannequins that he had made that were in the audience?
I do. Or she could have been tripping balls. Who knows? But I like that interpretation. It was like actual mannequins in the audience, and they were really gonna try to make. I didn't think she was expecting her to go to that extreme, because
Yeah,
that's just not Charlie's style. But like just a confession kind of thing, kind of one of those,
right.
wash your hands in the sink until it's actually bloody, because you think blood is on your hand kind of moment. But
Yeah,
it kind of went a little sideways. I think it's one
yeah.
of the darkest endings for sure.
So like, it was either that or like, for 40 years she's been keeping up appearances, like tense, holding all this stuff together, all these different lies and consequences that she has to deal with to keep the lie up, right? It's a tremendous amount of emotional pressure. And then finally, when it broke, she just, like, her mind just broke.
Very well could be that too. Like I said, it's that choose your own adventure, whatever
Yeah,
interpretation.
I don't know which one I'm happier with. I think the one that makes the most sense, or the one that seems easiest to accept, is that just carrying all that tension, and finally, when there's nothing else to hold on to, her mind just breaks. It doesn't, like, her ego has been kept up by this one lie. Now there's no way to keep it together. The world is just too unwieldy at that moment, I think.
That's more likely. Like that's a long time to keep a secret. I think you have a
Yeah.
point.
And to kill your two best friends, and like, not like that she was Not
I was
that
gonna
she
say there's no
enjoyed it.
friends in the industry, especially as high up as she got being a woman. I feel like she might have turned that part of herself off as well.
Right from the very beginning.
Yeah.
That's fascinating. Yeah.
But this is also an interesting take on like grief and guilt too, right? Because like it's kind of like one of those juxtaposed episodes where like in the first episode, right, she is dealing with guilt and grief because that's how she solves her friend's murder, right? And then this
Mm.
one kind of brings it back around and like basically holds up a mirror and like, ooh, you know, this lady, she doesn't have a soul here. She doesn't feel that guilty. I mean, it's been 40 years.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
just living in this house of cards, you know.
I love that moment too. We got like our little Columbo. Just one more thing. When she walks in and she's about to walk away, she's about to get away. And then why would she even mention Max in that moment? Max was not part of this conversation at all. And as she's walking out, yeah, and by the way, I didn't have anything to do with Max's death. And wait, what? Like, why would you even like? And then no, none of their deaths. No, neither of them I had anything to do with. But like, I can understand.
And you would have got away with it too if you would have just shut up.
Yeah, just sometimes it's good to know when to shut up. You've already won. Let it ride. Crazy. And then like what I loved about having Nick Nolte in, because at one point I felt like the two of them were having a rasp off. Like this, I bet you I could talk raspier than you. And it reminded me of, you remember that old Friends episode with Gary Oldman where him and Joey are on a set and doing spit acting? You have to spit in the actor's face. Acting properly. That's what it reminded me of, is that moment, two actors having a rasp off. That was hilarious.
So
I love that.
As a Supernatural fan, I'm like, it was giving Jensen Ackles and Misha Collins. It's like Dean's voice starts like way up here, and by the end of the show, he's like, "I'm Batman," basically. Voice, and Misha is even lower, and it's just like, "Oh, your poor voices, baby, your poor voices."
Man. So let's see. So yeah, so they find the actual film reel. But and that's how she gets caught, because they find the film reel on the little Orpheus statue.
Yeah.
That was a nice moment between the two of them where she actually sheds a tear talking about her friend that she lost, but she does it through. It's like, I could see you. I see what that thing is. You think that's inscrutable? I see what you're doing. There's that red light. There's the girl jumping out of the head. I thought that was a really, really nice moment. Like, what a great piece of acting for both of them to do. And you could tell this was an episode that she directed, because like you take every sort of moment to take every liberty as an actor to just sow your wild oats. And that's what a lot of this was, which was really, really nice.
Definitely. I also love, because I'm one of those people, when they say the thing, that's the thing. I was like, oh, the title of the episode was his, his life's, his stop motion feature. I was just like, oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
It was
definitely like a confusing. I think what's still bothering me about the ending is that she was Laura was in like a fugue state or something. She didn't really get her comeuppance, right? It was like just a moment, and then she took the coward's way out of even
that.
As
she was always gonna do, though. She was never gonna go to jail and serve jail,
or at least let her live in some shame for a minute. Let her watch everything that she built crumble. Like, I wanted that moment for her to realize that it was all for nothing, or that now it's all gone and now you're.
But in the real world, that's how it would go a lot of times, especially like in Hollywood. They are not going to face those. They're either going to run to Europe where there's no extradition, or they're going to.
Yeah, or to make it look like you did.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. But yeah, I think I've been trying to figure out what bothered me about the end of this episode. It didn't feel as satisfying as all the other ones. She was the worst villain we had, in my opinion, and she got no justice. She cowarded her way out of justice. And I think that's what bothered me about this episode.
Yeah.
They left me a little unfulfilled.
I could see that. I could totally see that. But I can say the next two episodes, hold on to that feeling.
Okay.
Hold on to, like I said, this is kind of like that, like where they just ratchet up the tension, and it's I mean this in the best way. It is all downhill for our girl Charlie. So
I
like
guess.
I feel like this is definitely something that she's gonna carry with her, this experience going
Yeah.
forward. Because it's episodic but also serialized, obviously. So it's a
Yeah.
good mix of both. And and what had bothered me mostly about the series is that she really doesn't have like character growth. This
Her what?
episode gave her character growth.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah,
But she
yeah,
is emotionally stunted, and she kind of has to be to live the life that she's on, right?
yeah.
She's mama's a rolling stone, but like at the same time, like you see that grief, and we bring back up the loss of her friend and what set her on that journey. And I really feel like this like just brought up all those memories, and that's what allowed her to connect with him and maybe even develop the twitch. I feel like she's like so numb, like that when people lie, it just sticks out like a blazing sign, maybe
Yeah.
too.
Yeah,
So
that's why that moment was like so important for her, because she's hasn't been on. Yeah, she's been on the run, and she does use a real name, which is probably
yeah,
not a good idea anywhere that she's going. But she does have to sort of like pretend, and then like just one moment she could just be open and talk about her real life, not her persona.
yeah. And Natasha Lyonne plays a lot of those characters. Like if you're a fan of Orange Is the New Black, she's the clown, but like deep down she's a clown
Yeah,
because she's sad.
yeah,
So I feel like this character really does resonate with her, which is all the more better. Like I feel like that the characters really clicked with her. Like when she read the script, she was like, "You son of a bitch, I'm in," and she just really has a good grasp on this character because I feel like she can relate on some level. You can always feel it. You know what I mean when an actor
yeah.
really clicks with a character.
Yeah, I keep being impressed by her accent and how universe and uniform it is throughout. Like it really feels lived in, the accent. Like the little her S's are SH's, just a touch. But it's always like the same. It's always there. Like she has adopted this character. She knows this person now, and she's just being. She's not acting.
Yeah.
And you can see her having fun as an actor in this. So that which is what really draws me to it.
Yeah, I think the cinematography was so beautiful in this episode. Not like the bright cheery way that it usually is too. Like I said, this whole episode is just a whole different shift in the whole series, and it kind of gets back to that light cheery like postcard kind of cinematography for the next two episodes as well. But like this
Huh.
one, it just really stands out in my mind because the lighting's darker. It's a darker just tone of everything, whether it's the subtle
Especially when
sound.
Laura's on screen.
Yes, I love that. It's like, yeah, she's the bad guy.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
She's a
Yeah,
gloomy cloud.
yeah. Every time the screen is there, it's a very different color palette.
Oh, the one minus for this episode, I really love Rowan Blanchard, who is the girl that dies in the tank, and it's like
Hmm.
she's the girl that dies in the tank, and I'm like, no.
Yeah, I thought we would actually get like because that would have been great for ratcheting up the tension for this episode, watching her struggle, and maybe giving us bits and pieces of flashes of memory as we go. That would have been really cool. I think that would have really made the gravity of what these three people have been struggling with since then a lot more palpable.
Yeah,
Yeah, I totally
I
agree with you
agree.
there.
But yeah, like also the song choice today for this episode, "Lonely People." Like that's a little too on the nose, but it's just the way that I like it. It's by America, that the band America, that British
Ah,
American rock band. It's pretty old, and I like that they kind of use a lot of old music because they like for the most part. I don't think the audience like because you're targeting like that 18 to 49, well
yeah,
18 to 34, really honestly. So that and that's a band from the '70s, so it feels fresh and new if you're like in
yeah.
that age demographic, but if you're like kind of older, then you can kind of like think
Yeah, I
more
didn't
about it.
recognize it. It sounded familiar, but I didn't catch it. I catch some of them on the show, but that one I didn't catch.
Yeah.
Shame on me.
No. Yeah, it's just that's why I like their music choices. It's not when it's on the nose, but like it's obscure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like you wouldn't really catch how on the nose it was unless you had captions running.
Exactly.
That's when it's
Which
like,
I
oh, that's
do.
what's
I'm
happening.
guilty.
Don't lie to me. Oh, that's what's happening. All right, yeah, fair enough.
So yeah, all
Um,
around another solid episode for me.
yeah,
Like I said,
for
I think
sure.
it's my favorite because it's just darker and it just like kind of is like, well, yeah, bad guys get away with it and they take the cowardly way out. I mean, I didn't think it was realistic everybody getting their comeuppance, to be perfectly honest.
That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. But I thought that was what we got with this show, right? It's like this standard format. You get the setup, you get the exploration, you get the crescendo at the end where everybody figures it out. The guy's unmasked, and it was you all along. It's like basically Scooby-Doo. And I was prepared for that. And I'd gotten comfortable with that. And now we
Mr.
get like,
Johnson said, don't get comfortable with
yeah,
this,
wait a
sir.
second. You want me to deal with reality? This is a show where the good guys win and the bad guys suffer. That's what I was. And now it's like, wait a second. This feels real. I don't like it. I want to go back to sleep and go back to dreaming about nice things where the bad guys always lose and get what's coming to them.
Well, to be fair, I think it's like the one episode where they don't.
Yeah, no, not saying that it's a bad thing, but it was just a different experience. It was a different emotional palette that they painted with, and then I was glad to see the episode for what it was.
Like I said, I think it was the meta of it all because it had to do around the film industry where they're not gonna hold up their consequences. So yeah.
I guess the whole point was to make us sympathize with the people in the industry in that way.
Yeah, and oh my god, I can't give Nick Nolte praise enough. Like, wow, like like here I am. You don't think about like him and what's that other guy? Tom,
Jeff Bridges.
Oh, Jeff Bridges too. Yeah. Him,
I always get
a couple of those guys
confused.
that are in the like mix. It's just like, oh yeah, you're still alive and you're still doing work. Really good work.
Yeah.
Good for you. Wasn't he supposed to be in like in the Hulk or something like that?
Oh, he was in the Hulk. He played the Hulk's dad.
Yeah. Oh. I know I wasn't that crazy.
Yeah. No, you're that. It was in the was it the Eric Bana one? Or was it the
Ang Lee, the original one, the Incredible Hulk.
See, I still think that's my favorite Hulk movie. Me
too, buddy. Me too.
I love that movie.
I love Ang Lee, like the score, the cinematography, even the story. Like, I mean, Eric Bana's got that punchable face. It's like, punch him, make him turn into the Hulk,
Yeah.
He's got that sorry, sad sack look about him that Bruce Banner needs to have. I'm sorry, he just does.
The Hulk felt powerful and dangerous and kinetic and explosive. All the other Hulk didn't have that. It was, I guess it's because of Ang Lee. Everything, that scene where they're fighting in the desert was just amazing. And when he's fighting, what's his name? Emil Blonsky.
Oh yeah.
That scene was amazing. And then the subsequent Hulk movies, it was all like too cartoonish, too CGI. It wasn't enough heart.
The Ed Norton one wasn't that bad if it wasn't for Ed Norton. I'll put it to you that way. Like, he had to have his input about it, and it really kind of changed the vibes. But I think they should give Ang Lee another shot. I think he's a wonderful director.
And now they have the rights to the Hulk back, right? Or is that still just a rumor in the air?
You never know until you. Well, they were never gonna give the Hulk just due to CGI and like how much it is and like how they're arguing with like all the VFX studios. They were never gonna give him his own full movie anyway.
Huh.
Unfortunately. So.
Man.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm still waiting for a Wolverine versus the Hulk.
I mean, we got Hugh Jackman back. You can thank your Lord and Savior Ryan Reynolds.
Indeed. And
the yellow outfit, no less.
And the plot of it just sounds amazing. I don't care about how you get there, but it's Wolverine fighting all the other X-Men. Let's go. I don't care how you get me there. I'm there. I'm there early, Yeah. I can't wait. Sure. I think that's going to be amazing.
I can't wait for you to see the next 2 episodes. I think you're really gonna. It's a ride. I'm just gonna say it's a heck of a ride.
Are they more connected because we're getting more in touch with the original story, the original arc?
Yeah, let's just say we're gonna bring this to a close. Don't know how they're gonna do season 2 is all I'll say, but we know
I can't
that
wait.
we are gonna get a season 2. It's just we have to sort out. Just pay the damn writers and the actors, please.
For real, can't we just keep it as the same balance as it was before streaming and all this stuff came and
that's the thing. Everything? Network TV. Well, the way that it was going was that network TV was in trouble, and everybody would prefer to do streaming because you can do those side deals without all the eyes on your contract, right? Because it's the Wild West when it comes to streaming. But, unfortunately, that's why we lost, Nolan from WB, from Warner Bros. And I was like, I thought that was a really great, fantastic, but what they did during the pandemic, it's like, yeah, we need to renegotiate all of this. You know, the directors did renegotiate, and that probably is going to hurt the actors. They're like, well, they took it. Well, they, you know, they're kind of a smaller guild too, so just pay everybody what they're worth. I mean, because a lot of if you know anything about the industry, like most of the people, like the camera guys, like they're working class people, like Fran said, you know, they really are. They're borderline, you know, minimum wage if you're just doing daily from place to place and you don't have like a steady TV show or you know you're friends with a director or something where you're always going to get that work, like you're always going to get that cinematography work, you know. It's really hard to build those relationships. So, you know, the movie stars like that make millions of dollars per movie are actually like far and few between, you know.
Yeah.
So just pay the people.
Do the right thing. That's all.
Yeah, because like we're looking at 2 years of like nothing but reality TV right now.
That sounds fun.
Bare minimum, and I was there. I was there when that last strike happened. Like the last 2 strikes actually, where the rise of reality TV, like the Real Housewives and all that stuff.
We
like
can't let that happen
channel
again.
Turned into the lying channel. Yeah, I was there, and I don't want to go through that again.
Yeah, no, that's not good for society. That's really not good for society.
Yeah,
I think everybody needs to back the writers just so society doesn't take another hit. Like
she made a point. They're a union, and people are like kind of watching. Like, well, if even the movie stars can't get a good deal with the with a union, like what chance does Ford or anybody have?
Yeah, no, that's such an interesting point. If we don't take care of the entertainment that we're putting out, the lowest common denominator gets out, and that's not good for the kids. Yeah. That next generation is going to be even more, what's the nice way of saying it? Unsophisticated?
Feral.
Yeah, yes. So I didn't even calculate that it could be dangerous on that level. But yeah, if we get another wave of some more idiotic invention like the Real Housewives, but like maybe 10 times worse.
Oh, no, I saw the worst thing that broke me. Have you heard of MILF Manor?
No.
Yeah. And it's actually, they have their kids and they're dating the other kid. Like, it's so bad. It's so bad. Like, it broke me. Like, I didn't know I was this old. Like, I joke, like, I'm your favorite internet granny, but, like, no, that literally was like, no, this is bad for society. Like, this is the first show that I've ever just like, no, cancel this show. Take it off the air. This is awful. Like, I didn't think I was ever going to be that person, but that show broke me. I mean, I was okay with, like, Teen Mom and all that stuff, because that's what happens in life. But MILF Manor, this is where I draw the line.
Oh, MILF?
Yeah, Mother I'd like
MILF Manor. I'm imagining, like, a dairy farm or something. I'm like, oh, MILF
I mean, basically, with all the fake movies funny. In there, but...
That's funny.
Yeah, so I just think of the children. Like, now I feel like Chipper Gore. Think of the children.
Oh, my God. No. We've turned into Chipper Gores. That's horrible. What happened?
I know. I told you. Like, reality TV broke me.
It's not us. It's the kids. The kids are dumb as hell. and it's getting worse. And so we need to pay these writers so our kids don't end up even dumber. That's the message to everybody.
I mean, the pandemic made them feral, honestly. If you talk to any of them, they're just now recovering. So it's just kind of like, give the kids something that's not Euphoria reruns, please.
They need quality entertainment, for the love of God, please. All right.
On that note, you want to do
you want to do the outro?
I can do the outro.
Awesome.
Thank you, mateys, for joining us for another week on the 7 C's of the internet. We look forward to discussing Poker Face 109 with you next time. But until then, feel free to follow us on Twitter at FSA Podcast. You can give us an email at CapesandLunatics@gmail.com. Give us a call at 614-382-2727. That's 614-38-CAPES. And don't forget to check out TubeSpace.io, Capes and Lunatics Podcast Network, if you get bored. And what about you, Mozzie? Where can the people find you?
Oh, they can email me at mozzmanzor@gmail.com or find me on Facebook under Mozz Manzor. That's MOZZMANZOOR.
And I did actually end up making a Twitter. I don't know why. It's a hellscape. But you can also find me on Threads, too. Internet Granny. That's GRANNIE.
Oh, say that again?
GRANNIE. Internet Granny.
But tell me you spell internet as INANET.
Oh, I shoulda.
That would have been so good. That would have been good.
Is it too late to change it? Let's see.
Oh, that would be funny.
So until next time, stay safe, avoid the other pirates, and
Arg.
Yeah, arg.
There it is. All right. Thank you so much, Lilith.
You got it.